So we're in week 8 of Major League Rugby action. What a tremendous week it was in rugby in general. We had a conclusion to the Six Nations tournament. Big match, England, Scotland. What a great match that was. And of course, Wales and Ireland. What a tremendous match that was. If you're Welsh, Irish eyes were not smiling on Ireland at all on Saturday. There were no St. Patrick's Day celebrations going on, at least on Saturday. But we're here to talk about Major League Rugby and some major things that we could bring out of this week's action. So let's have a look. In past weeks, I've emphasized that success in the 2019 season will be built in part on a team's ability to manage their roster. My two key points were, number one, the 2019 season is longer than that of 2018, a quarter longer. Number two, the season had to start earlier as a result. Thus, managing lineups to give players rest, creating depth to overcome injury, and loss of international players during the America's Rugby Championship would be crucial. Add one more element onto this, mixture of players from a variety of countries, specifically as it relates to language. I'm going to break this piece down for you this week in Major League Rugby. Why do the variety of languages matter on the rugby field? Communication. Communication is key to success for any team on the field. Because rugby is a 15-man game, all players need to be able to communicate efficiently. I believe that this is yet another critical difference between teams at the top of the table in Major League Rugby in Week 8 and teams that are at the bottom. Here's the table at the conclusion of Week 8 in MLR action. Notice the teams at the top: NOLA, Seattle, New York, and Glendale. The teams on the bubble: San Diego and Toronto. And the teams at the bottom: Utah, Houston, and Austin. Aside from managing the loss of players from America's Rugby Championship and injury, teams at the top have an easier time communicating from 1 to 15 and in the spine positions while on the field. And I believe it is this last factor that is making the difference between those teams at the top of the table and those that are at the bottom. Most viewers will recognize this alignment. It represents the 15 positions in a 15-a-side rugby team. However, you'll notice that 4 positions are circled: hooker, number 2, scrum half, number 9, fly half, number 10, and number 15, the fullback. This group of players are known as the spine of a team, as they are the players that most often have to communicate and make decisions on the field. As I have watched 3 to 4 matches each week, commentators have frequently remarked about the communication challenges within the Austin Elite squad. Austin is the most diverse side in Major League Rugby, both in terms of the number of languages and countries represented from 1 to 15. I believe this is one of the reasons why they're at the bottom of the table right now. This is the starting 15 for Austin in this week's match versus Seattle. Notice that there are 6 different countries represented by the players in this side, with at least 4 different primary languages being spoken. While most South Africans learn to speak English as a second language, and J.P. Aguirre played at Lindenwood University, this diversity has to be difficult when communicating on the field. I think that this is particularly true of the spine positions. 3 to 4 different languages, Spanish, French, English, and Afrikaans, are spoken within these 4 positions. That is proving to be a challenge for Austin on the pitch. For comparison, let's take a look at the top 4 teams in Major League Rugby through Week 8. At the top of the table is NOLA. Well, they have 6 countries represented. Only 1 player in the starting 15 is not from a country where English is a primary language. While Blewett and Eloff are South African born, English is taught as another language in their schools. And Elof has been in the United States for at least 8 years, having played his rugby at Davenport and played with the Eagles. Most importantly, all of the spine players have an excellent command of the same language, including Elof. Second in the table is Seattle. They are represented by 5 different countries in their starting 15. They have 2 representatives from South Africa, again, where English is taught in schools. And while Ben Sema, the fly half, is Argentine born, he has been in the United States since he was 7, and he has played with the United States Eagles. So when Canadian Phil Mack is on the pitch, all of their spine players can communicate in their primary language. The Cinderella story of Major League Rugby in 2019 has to be Rugby United New York. Rooney was at the top of the table for 24 hours after their first home match in their inaugural season on Friday night. While they are newcomers, perhaps their success is in part connected to personnel. Rooney is represented by 9 U.S.-born players, led by New York native Mike Petrie, alongside 5 Irishmen and 1 English-born player, Ben Foden. I can't help but think that the continuity of language has helped their success, particularly at the spine positions 2, 9, 10, and 15. If the playoffs started this week, Glendale would hold the 4th seed. They were runners-up last year and had the best record in Major League Rugby. Within this week's starting 15, they boasted 11 U.S.-born players, 2 Kiwis, and 2 South African-born players. Within their spine, 2 players, a hooker, Zach Fenolio and Will Maggie, are U.S.-born, while number 9, Sean Davies, was born in South Africa. He played for BYU and is the first-choice scrum half for the Eagles. In addition, number 15, Dylan Taikato Simpson, is Kiwi-born. Thus, language barriers are not an issue in this experienced side. While language barriers don't explain all the difficulties and challenges that bottom-ranked teams are having currently, it is something to keep our eye out for the remainder of this season and in 2020. This season, remember, with a longer schedule, there's going to be injuries, and coaches are going to have to get some players rest. In order to do that, they're going to go to additional players who might have some language barrier issues. In addition, next year, as we expand 3 more teams, look to see if it becomes an issue for teams that are building their roster. I hope you enjoy Week 9. We're almost halfway through. It has been an incredible run so far, and look for an exciting end to this year in Major League Rugby. Keep an eye out next week for a follow-up in Week 9. Have a great week. If you liked the content in today's episode, click like, subscribe, or leave me a message. In addition, you can also get some great YouTube content from the 1014 Rugby and this rugby.